What's out there? I've looked. You're going to just lay down and leave me to it? A few days ago, I looked out up there on the grain field. There's a doe, full-sized, eating, and she's been back at least 2 other days since then. Mid-afternoon, last time I saw her, she was down in here, feeling very comfortable. So I was sure when I'm laying down, preparing to open the book for a late morning nap, she called her up here, and she's standing on the bed, looking out the window, and begins to bark. Oh, the deer is back. And granted, they are very hard to see against the fall colors of the landscape because they blend in so well. But she's blending in so well now as to be invisible. And I know damn well when Suki barks, she is sensing something. And I don't know what their senses, how they all work together, but she doesn't depend on eyesight totally. She depends on sound, smell, and what are the other senses. And maybe it ran off when it heard a vocalizing canine coming from this house. Ah, sweetie, it's just you and me, sacked out. Only the eyes are moving. This snow we're getting has sort of escalated into a bigger deal than it started out to be. It's okay with me and Suki. I just heard on the radio that Minneapolis has been converted from a snow watch to a storm warning. And I guess they're already having major traffic snarls. Go on, Suki. 18-wheeler jackknifed on one of the interstate highways in Minneapolis and closed it off to people traveling. Oh God, I would not want to live in the Twin Cities area ever, but especially during a snowstorm. We're going to walk to Otter Pond through a different way, a little change of scenery. How's the lens doing? I realized when I came out the other day in the snow was falling on the lens cover here and instantly making a wet, blurry spot, which is no problem. That's fine. But I realized I was bringing a warm camera out into the cold snow. Snowflakes were landing on it and melting. So I set this up on the deck, protected from snow for a couple minutes, hoping to cool it off to the point where it won't get watery. There she goes. Good girl. She seems to take 2 bowel movements. So why do we say take a pee or take a poop? I don't take it. I leave it. I give it. I present it. I've been working up in the loft this afternoon, clearing out a big cardboard box that's been sitting on the floor sort of in my way from doing anything. Well, the ice is kind of there and kind of not. Got the box up on top of my puzzle table, began going through years of accumulated junk and memories. It's the sort of box everybody has when they move you get on toward the last hours of trying to get the house packed up, and you just begin tossing everything into one catch-all box. Yeah, we got an open spot. Looks like we've had some meteorite strikes. Just like cracked glass. I was thinking about, those are cool looking. When I was a kid, probably, I don't know the age, I'm gonna guess between 5 and 7 years old. One day at church. Now, when I say church, nobody have a problem with wind noise, aren't I? Our family was Unitarian. Their motto was something similar to freedom of individual belief. It wasn't a religious organization, it was a social organization for people who had been hurt by organized religion. One day at church we had a nature film called something like Beaver Pond, and I can't remember if it was a Disney film. Beaver Pond. The upshot was, I remember seeing it transform over a period of 5 minutes. And the narrator was talking about beavers and the beaver pond and how it evolved from summer along each stage of transformation into winter. Snowy, iced over, middle of winter, silence, no action. I don't remember if there was beavers being shown in the winter or not. We were told about the beaver lodge and how they live in there, and that's their winter home, and that they come out for foraging for food down to the bottom of the beaver lodge and come up through a hole they keep open all winter. Very memorable. I was thinking about our beaver pond, Otter Pond. All right, well, what am I doing here? I got to do something meaningful. You're gonna fall through. All right, Sukio, let's go back this way. It's gonna be something to see what this looks like in 2 months. If I'm able to get down here. I need snowshoes. Actually, Chuck has a pair or two, and they're not what you remember as snowshoes. They're those 4-foot long wooden things with leather webbing. These days they're aluminum frames about a fifth the size. Oh, I'm sure they come in different sizes too, because if you're going to walk around in 2-foot deep fluff, those little snowshoes aren't going to keep you suspended very well. I wonder if there's any mail yet. I think the days of riding the bike out here are over. I keep looking at that. I've looked at that pile for years. Want to have a bonfire out of it. It's ready to go. The only problem with it is there's a little oak tree, little red pine behind it and a big red pine, the whole pile would have to be moved this way about 10 feet. Unless we could get the bobcat guy out here with his forks and move it for us. God, it would take him about 5 minutes. Well, maybe 6 minutes. I should get the car out and go try out my new tires, huh? There's no mail yet. Oh, God. Jesus. When I get perturbed about things like the mess down here and how we just cut it down and let it lay, I think about if I got so annoyed by living conditions out here that I moved away. Oh my God. It'd take me about 15 minutes of driving away from here in a U-Haul full of everything I own. 15 minutes for me to say, what have I done? Because I can't imagine any circumstances more appropriate to me than living here. And every place we live, all of life has some annoyances about it. You aren't ever going to escape them. And that reminds me of a book, children's book that I remember. I think it was in my grandmother's house. It was about a lady that had the same problem I'm describing. Something was bothering her about where she lived. This is a really good parable. It wasn't a biblical parable, but they don't all have to be. She packed up her cat and moved. And it seems to me the place she moved to was just I think in the country. She moved to a new place that was half a mile down the road. And she moved in and, oh, this is good. Yeah, I don't have those problems or that problem I had at that old place. So she lived there for a short period of time until she got unhappy about something that was there that wasn't right. Bothered her, upset her. I'm going to move. So she packed up her cat and her stuff and moved to another different house half a mile away. And same thing happened. Moved in, lived there for a short time and got unhappy about something. Packed up her cat and her stuff and moved down the road again. This went on to about 4 or 5 subsequent living circumstances that were new and went south in her mind. And she moved into the final place that we're told about anyway. And she walked in and looked around. Yes, this is what I've been needing. This is perfect. And it turns out it was the first house that she lived in that she gave up on because of some unpleasant circumstance of her life and living conditions there. And I remember on the back page, there was a little, or it was all artwork. And you're seeing the countryside from overhead. It's a circle. She moved to here and to there and to there, and it was all around a circle. Around and about, coming back to where you first began. Never forgot that, obviously. Well, I'd say my plan to So grass seed is on hold. Just this view right here. We take it so much for granted. It's just here. And that's the kind of thing, if I moved away, getting it back would be impossible. And being here, it just happened. It was, well, I knew at the time when Chuck proposed the idea to me to come and live here that, oh man, I'll have my own wilderness. And I did notice when I was first outside here, I saw a car going by out on the highway and I heard nothing. And I love that about snowfall, how it becomes so quiet, muffled. All right, Sukio. Oh, I got to bring in wood. I thought about it before I came out and then forgot it. Snow shedding. One of these days that roof will be clear. This time of year in March, when it's so warm that the snow sticks. We were hearing it yesterday. I say we, Suzuki and I, while she was reacting to it. From inside you could hear little faint thudding noises. And I knew what it was right away. She looked up at one point. Well, we both heard a fairly loud one. I came out here, opened the door 3 times, trying to catch it in action. Never did. Oh yes, I did. Finally, the last time I looked, because I didn't need to do it anymore, I was hearing, it wouldn't thud against the stones on the ground up there. It was shedding off directly onto this 2x8. That was it. But it sort of vibrated, echoed in the house. Okay, I'm going in to get my buckets, aren't I? I let Suki wander up just over onto the stones there. There. Standing here, it was quiet, and I heard some kind of groaning, some active sound coming from that roof, and I thought, I got to get Suki out of there. So I called her, come. She hurried over to me, and literally I got the camera out in 30 seconds and it let go. One of the things I've been worried about is the dogs, especially the Yorkies when I have them over here. If that lets go on them, it's going to kill them. It depends on how heavy the snow is. What we've got here is really, really wet. Heavy. I got snow blowed. All the way out to the highway. Started about an hour ago. In preparation mainly now for tomorrow when we get 3 to 5 inches more. So I don't have today's load and tomorrow's load to get out all at once. I was working on cleaning this up a little bit more, widening it out, so in midwinter when I need to get at that wood. And part of the concern here is this wet, heavy snow. When it freezes, it's going to freeze solid. You might as well get it where you want it now, because by tomorrow it is going to be an icy ridge anywhere you missed. Well, like the middle there, going up the center. Well, as you saw, that big chunk, it builds up in front of the snowblower, then conforms to the shape of the impeller, but it's not doing anything. It's just being pushed along. The traumas of early season snow is always wet, heavy. So I reduced my bite to about half of the width of the chute. That seemed to work a little better. I had just turned the snowblower around and was working my way back. I looked up, there's a FedEx van. And boy, was he glad. And I said, I've been working like a fiend to get this opened up in case you did come today. I didn't think I'd see you. Oh yeah, yeah. And he said, boy, most people, he just shook his head. In other words, he's gone to a lot of deliveries where people had not shoveled or plowed or removed any snow whatsoever. As we were walking back toward the van, I looked at his rear tires and said, oh man, you got bad. Yeah, he said, I just put in a work order for him. It's a little late for now. And tomorrow. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button. See you next time.